I was out for a walk the other day, and it was a lovely day. Walked past a church, and they were doing a christening. You could see they were getting photos of the baby and the happy parents outside. And I watch as they start moving in, a lovely baby girl. And the mother, she gets to the door of the church. She looks up, looks down at her daughter, and yeets her over a fence. Now, luckily I was nearby, so I dashed in, caught the baby girl, checked she was alright, saw the little name tag that said Hope. And, pardon my language, but I did have to shout, "What the hell are you doing?" The mother looks at me, looks back above the door, carries on walking in. So I run round, so I'm going to give her a piece of my mind. I get to the door of the church, still carrying little Hope. I look up. "Abandon hope, all ye who live to enter." Yeet! Now, I will address something that happens a lot at comedy gigs. Yes, I am dressed smartly. I went to a public school, which means I was groomed from a young age. And they teach you a few strange things at public schools that I don't think they teach in the state sector. One of those things is public speaking. So when friends and family have got careers they want to switch or they've got to do a presentation, they'll ask me for my advice. And my friend Dave had spent his career to that point in finance and wanted to give back and wanted to prove that he still had a soul. And like many people, he's a nervous speaker. So he did some research for tips and he saw this piece of advice, called me up to see what I reckoned. He said, "Carl, I've heard when I get nervous in front of an audience, I should picture them in their underwear or naked to humanise them. Do you think I should do that?" And I had to say to him, "Aren't you a primary school teacher?" Now, if you are ever anxious giving a speech, I've got a friend who's a psychotherapist. She specialises in anxiety. Her name's Anna. And she says that the typical advice to try and clear your mind and not focus on things, that is the wrong advice. Your brain will try to catch on to something, so you want to keep the brain busy. The brain hates a vacuum. And that's why my carpets are a mess. Another thing that going to public school did teach me, at least, and this shows the kind of school that it was, I learned Latin from year 7 to GCSE. I have a GCSE in Latin. It is the most pointless exam I've ever taken. But it did teach me 3 quotes from Julius Caesar, who's a great man. You may have heard of the first 2. When he conquered Gaul, Veni Vidi Vici, I came, I saw, I conquered. When he crossed the Rubicon with his army and started the civil war that ended the Roman Republic, Alia Jacta Est, the die is cast. A lesser known one is when he first crossed the Channel and set foot on the shores of Britannia, and said, "Deus meus, hoc non possum godere, hoc ego nunquam longe ab Roma abie." Oh my God, I can't believe it. I've never been this far away from Rome. Now, I also hear from Dave that the government wants to start getting people to think more and to be a bit more discerning with the rise of fake news and Russian bots. They want people to learn critical thinking skills. So they're going to start introducing philosophy into schools. And there's a lot of Western philosophy, so they're going to have to start them young with the ancient Greeks in nursery schools, where they're going to introduce the kids to Play-Doh. I am single, despite how I look, and in your 40s, it's... Thank you, Jack. And in your 40s, it does get harder to meet people, and I have asked some of my friends, why do girls still go for the bad boy, even in your 30s and 40s? And the thing I've heard from girls is that they've got this idea that they can fix the bad boy. Like, I know a vet. He can give you a good price. And it's not like these bad boys will actually miss that part of themselves, because they always justify their bad behaviour by saying nice guys finish last. Of course we do. It's polite. It's better for her to finish first, second, possibly third. I don't know why these bad boys like to advertise they've got no stamina in the bedroom. And they are the types of guys who typically go around calling themselves the alpha male, the top dog, the leader of the pack. I'm guessing they mean the leader of the pack and not the ultra buggy software you do not show your manager. But I grew up in the late 80s and early to mid 1990s. So whenever I hear somebody say that they are an alpha, I immediately start picturing them speaking like Alpha 5 from the Power Rangers. You cannot take them seriously when they are going, "Aye, aye, aye, worship me, aye, 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 Zola, me, aye, 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 bitches and grandmas, aye, aye, aye." And that works with surprising number of these influencers and men's rights activists. Not all of them want to call themselves alphas, some of them fall out of that trap. Has anybody heard of Andrew Tate? He likes to be called a top G, which I think that means gangster, spelled S-T-A, not S-T-D. It might sound cool in English, but unfortunately for Mr. Tate, I know a little bit of Japanese. And they've got a creature, which we've got in this country as well, they call it a gokiburi. G-O-K-I-B-U-R-I. And it's one that is so reviled, they will not shout gokiburi when they see one. They will shorten it to G. So G is scuttling along the floors, up the walls, across the ceiling. Andrew Tate's been calling himself the top cockroach. And Andrew's in a strange place recently. I've seen a couple of his tweets, and it's obvious that he's struggling to get the same attention he used to. He's getting more strange in what he says. A tweet he put out recently was that if you enjoy having sex with a woman for any reason other than procreation, that means you are gay. Now, the last time I heard gay used that way would be school playgrounds in about 1996. I think we've moved on a little bit since then. One of my friends, actually, she's a comedian based up in Manchester. Her name's Katerina Robinson. I'm trying to get Jack to bring her down here sometime because she does a wonderful bit of sex positivity, and you might get some free sex toys out of her.
Hired.
And she was telling me once that her view of playing with a guy's dick is like trying to raise a houseplant. You give it lots of love and affection, get it damp a little bit, and it will give you, it will grow up you big and strong and give you lots of pleasure. And I said to her, Kat, I'm sorry, you're wrong on that. It's more like trying to raise a child. You give it love and affection, yes. You kiss it, you cuddle it, you caress it, you might smack it occasionally when it's naughty. You hope it will grow to be big and strong. But deep down you know it's just going to be another self-centered, disappointed little prick. Have we got any managers in the room? Have we got anybody who's got managers in the room? Because I had a manager years ago, and if you've had a manager, you know they like to throw out trite little sayings. And one of my managers years back had this one to try and motivate us to always do our best to make sure that we knew we'd be rewarded. He'd say, "The cream will rise to the top." He stopped saying that when I pointed out that according to the rings around my bathtub, so does the scum. And a lot of these managers, these influencers, they quote things to try and sound clever. They think that if they can spew ancient wisdom, they must be clever, so they'll spew Veni Vidi Vici Ac Reso Conquered from Julius Caesar. They might say, "The obstacle is the way," Marcus Aurelius. "'Tis better to give than to receive," chlamydia. But something I learned a few years ago from my next door neighbours, these people are proud of quotes, which is the same thing we can actually train a parrot to do. And the parrot will understand it better. They will look better, and they will probably be a better manager. They cost a lot less than the billionaires do. And the other thing that this manager loved to do, he was one of those that would talk about manifestation, and you've probably seen some of these really positive people who say, I manifested it and the universe provided. They're the same type of people who believe the universe will manifest everything, and they will say something like, it can't get any worse. Now, I've been alive for 41 years, and I know the universe sees that as a challenge. If you don't believe me, 2010 we had the Conservative Lib Democrat coalition, and people throughout that austerity said it can't get any worse. We got the Conservatives, even deeper austerity. We got a Brexit vote that has still split the country. It can't get any worse. We get Theresa May. She can't get anything through government at all. She pretty much loses an election with an even weaker government. It can't get any worse. Boris Johnson. He gets Brexit done, but we get scandal after scandal after scandal after scandal until the Conservatives have had enough. It can't get any worse. Liz Truss. At that point, the universe said, I think you've had enough. I'm going to give you a little bit of a rest. We get Rishi Sunak. Not much of an improvement, but a small one. It can't get any worse. Here's Starmer. And people are saying it can't get any worse now. To which I point them to America, where you might remember George W. Bush. And people said it can't get any worse for 8 years now, Donald Trump. And I'm pretty sure that somebody in the royal household during the whole Harry and Meghan fiasco was saying it can't get any worse, and the universe heard that, looked through its unredacted files. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. Thank you, Nottingham. I'm Carl Brown, and I'm going to start taking photos.